What's good, people? It's Naths. Welcome to the video, and today we're actually going to be talking about two news stories that I found over the last couple of days. I didn't think they were enough to have their own video, but I wanted to talk about both of them, so I just had put it in one and kind of see if it works. If it does work, you're going to see more of these type of two for the price of one videos more often. So first things first, let's get into the main story of the video, the one that I've put in the title that has brought you guys onto this video. Now I'm not sure what I titled it again because it's a very complicated situation, right? This that's happened, and I didn't really know what to kind of put where. But basically, an Arizona woman has been arrested for punching her child in the face because he wasn't a good enough lookout for his grandma while she was shoplifting. That type of sentence is one where there's really a lot to unpack when you first hear it, and you might need to probably read it again as I did, or hear it again to really understand what's happened, right? But let me walk you through it. So apparently at an Arizona mall somewhere, or some shop, a grandma was shoplifting, right, as you do, because it's just grandma shoplift, and her grandchild was made to be a lookout, and the mum don't really know where she was in this situation, probably being another lookout. Maybe it was one of those situations where like one's on one corner and then one's on the other type thing. So the grandma's doing her thing, shoplifting, and I guess she gets caught or something happens. In the article, it's not really clear if the grandma actually gets caught shoplifting or not, but this is just what they've been told by the child who's been hit. So the grandma, I guess, gets caught or something happens where, I don't know, they had to leave or something. I don't know, something goes wrong, right? And it's for some reason the kid's fault because he wasn't a good enough lookout, because again, children are supposed to be lookouts while their grandmas are shoplifting. So I guess the kid messes up in some way, shape or form, and it's enough for the mum to actually hit the kid, punch him straight in his face because he wasn't a good enough lookout for the grandma while shoplifting. So there's a few things that I want to talk about with this article that kind of had me a bit confused. One, so in the article, and again, I'll leave it in the description so you guys can take a look at it, but the grandma didn't actually get caught shoplifting, or the police that were there don't know if the grandma got caught shoplifting, so you'd assume she didn't because, again, they're police, so I feel like they'd know if the grandma got caught shoplifting because they'd be there to arrest the grandma as well. But if that's the case, if the grandma didn't get caught shoplifting, why did she hit the kid? I mean, he couldn't have been bad enough of a lookout to get her caught, so just leave him alone. What could he have done? The whole point of a lookout is to stop the other person from getting caught, tell them if there's police or, whatever. And she didn't get caught. So what could he have possibly done to deserve getting hit? And then there's the fact that the mum actually punched the kid in the face in the first place. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong, when I was younger I got my ass beat on many occasions, but this obviously is very different. I've never been punched in the face by one of my parents. That's a bit ridiculous. And it's just obvious child abuse, and clearly the child's sake, I mean, Child Protective Services need to do something here and take the child away from really the whole family. Which leads me on to my next point, is that the grandma was shoplifting. I think we really need to pay attention to that point, that this is two generations above this kid that are just completely, obviously just rotten. I mean, the grandma is shoplifting. You could assume, imagine you've got, to be fair, I've just had a thought, right? Because I was just about to say, imagine you see a 60, 70-year-old lady with a Zimmer frame and buggy or whatever, right? Shoplifting. But then I thought about it, I feel like they'd never get caught, because a granny is the most inconspicuous thing in the world. That is, if you're ever gonna disguise yourself as something and you can pull off a grandma, do it, because nobody really pays attention to them. They're just it's kind of messed up, to be honest, now that I'm saying it, but it really is a perfect disguise. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I mean, yeah, it's just a bit incredible that the grandma was shoplifting, as well as the mum, I assume, being some sort of lookout with her child, who she made also look out for the grandma. It's just it's just a whole mess, and I don't even know how this is just ridiculous, honestly. I'm kind of surprised it's in Arizona. Whenever I think of things like this, I immediately obviously think, okay, well, it must be America, and then I go, okay, well, it's probably Florida, because Florida's America's the weirdness center of the world, right? And then Florida's the weirdness center of America. So it's just Oof. So the second story I wanted to talk about is one that you might actually be familiar with, because in 2017, a cafe in Australia decided to have a man tax along with other rules like women get seated first and things like that. And it was a pretty, like, it caused quite a big stir over the internet back in 2017. And that's when I know it from. And I watched, a few videos on it. And recently, the cafe has actually had to close down because, well, obviously it's not making enough money. That's what, that's why businesses close down. But I just honestly find this absolutely hilarious, because I remember when this first came out, I just thought, well, one, how is this not illegal? And two, what is this? Like, how is this even a thing? Like, from a business standpoint, it doesn't even make sense. Like, you just immediately, like, what man is really going to go in there and just give them 18%, like, what kind of a stupid person decided to put this in place and think it would actually work? I don't know. Back in 2017, when I first heard about this cafe and what they were doing, I immediately thought that they were trying to create kind of conversation and upheaval about what they were doing, which, they did do. People on the internet freaked out about it like they usually do. And I thought they would try and turn all that conversation and controversy into kind of promotion for their cafe, and they'd try and make the cafe some sort of like epicenter for the feminist and vegan movement, and like it just becomes some sort of idol, and they'd use that for their business and they would make money from it. But it didn't work, so obviously, and now they're closed down. And I just think it's hilarious. It's exactly what they deserve. Whoever did it was an idiot. And yeah, I mean, that's just not how you run a business, is it? And I just think it's hilarious. I feel like it's a win for the meninist movement, which I am a part of. I might as well just come out now. I am a meninist, a proud one. I firmly believe in the meninist movement. And yeah, go men.